it would be unlikely that we're the only living beings in all of the universe.
Can't relate.
Abort mission. People are gonna hate me for saying this. I'm like, oh my god, people are really gonna hate me.
You gotta be true to yourself.
Like, you know what? We're gonna go with it. Okay.
Wait, the water bottle's in the shot, so you just...
Can I keep it
I don't have
here?
a brand. I don't have a brand deal with them though, so...
Oh yeah, whatever. And I need to take my own advice. I'm putting a plan of action, like, into action. Being like, when you pull everything back and like you stop overthinking, music really comes down to like creation and marketing. Hey, I'm Tatum Quinn and wait, what is it? Hey, I'm Tatum Quinn and you're watching Lowkey MTL. Okay, I hate The Office, but
I've never watched it, but I know what it is.
Yeah,
I know the actors. And...
Yeah, I hate it, but I think it's like the worst show ever. But
most people love that show. It's like Friends.
Well, Friends is one of my favorite shows.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, but I hate The Office.
Okay.
Like hard hate it.
Why though?
I think it's garbage. It's like filmed garbagely. It's like.
Did you watch the UK version?
I've seen both of them. I haven't like seen a ton of it because I can't stand the way that they like. It's like always. I feel like from POV type of.
Oh, the view.
Yeah, and I'm just like.
It is a pretty low budget like film set at first, at least I heard.
Yeah.
But the girl from there, you're doing like a movie with her?
Yeah. So it's a TV show.
Okay.
Based on Cosmo magazine.
Okay.
And whenever like we're in direct contact with the actors or the actresses, that's where you get more nervous because you're like, oh, the camera's actually gonna see me now. It's not like I'm just walking in the background pretending to do something. Like it's like, and now I have to be aware of that.
Yeah. So what, like you start like being more professional, I guess?
Yeah.
But like what would you do like in the background anyways if you're not on like, direct
camera?
So
for this show, it's like it's based on Cosmo magazine, so it's like
what's Cosmo magazine? I feel like I've heard of it, but
Cosmo is like one of the biggest fashion magazines out there. And so they did like a take kind of on it. It's not called Cosmo or anything, but it's like it's a show called The Bold Type, and basically it's all about fashion and you're working in an office basically, and it's like just totally about fashion and people, you know, creating things and whatever. And so a lot of the time like you're the background people that are working in the office that nobody ever cares about. Like you're just there to fill space.
Yeah. Do you believe in aliens?
I mean, of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Do you think COVID is designed for aliens to come see us? Have you heard those like
I haven't even heard that as like a thing, but the episode that I just watched would lead me to believe like, you know, with what they're saying, maybe, but at the same time I feel like that show, like there's so many things that are just their opinions and don't have like actual fact behind it. Yeah. It's just like the second episode, because I just started it, was like all the
It's your first time watching it?
Yeah.
Okay.
My brother like told me to watch it. But like the second episode was like all these pandemics that break out are sent from aliens, basically. So that's actually funny that you asked that, because I was just like thinking about it. I was like, imagine COVID, but then like I don't feel like that's
I know, it is pretty far-fetched to think that's the case. But what I heard was like one of the conspiracies was that the whole COVID pandemic thing and like forcing humans to like not go outside, it was because the aliens were going to visit, and then they wanted us to be like at a point of like desperation that like we're okay with like anything, and like so society doesn't go crazy if aliens come.
Okay.
But like who knows?
I don't know. I feel like wait, do you believe in aliens?
I believe there is, for sure. There has to be something else out there.
Well, the reason I believe that there has to, like, to me, it would be unlikely that we're the only living beings in all of the universe. Like there's so many galaxies, and there's so many, like, now they're saying that they think there's more planets than there are even stars.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, well, how would we be the only people to ever exist? That's like the way that
But I also feel like, well, one, it could be that we're like a science experiment, and they just like come check on us, like.
Yeah. Or like we're in a video game.
Or we're in a simulation, which is very possible too. Because if you like look at life as like a video game, and you're just like trying to unlock different levels, it just works. Like, you could actually succeed like that.
I've always wondered that, like, is somebody making it so that I'm here right now?
Yeah.
You know,
what if a kid's just like your avatar and they're just like playing with you? Maybe it's just designed in a way that we just can't ever get to like the other civilization. And like by the time we get into that civilization or existence, like it's a whole different like dimension. Cause we're, like, at that point you're traveling through time, right? Yeah.
Like what if, you know, the people that created like the crazy designs in Egypt, because like back then, like those designs, it's like would be very unlikely for somebody to be able to carve that with like such precision.
Yeah.
And so my brother was like, what if it's just somebody that like came from the future, and like we can't figure out how to get like to the future?
Well, there's like a lot of depictions of like alien type things coming down and giving like talking to them. And maybe that's where we got the idea of God, and like we're like always looking up at the sky.
I've been thinking that a lot lately. Is like, is God just, because like I don't really know what I believe in. I'm not a religious person by any means, and I don't necessarily know if I believe in God or anything like that. I kind of just believe in energy.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, and that like, because energy can be anything.
Yeah.
And it can present itself in different ways. But like also, everybody has a different God. Like every religion basically has a different God, and it's like, okay, well, is there gods, or is there like just this one like overall type of thing? And
all gods kind of correlate with each other too.
Yeah. Well, every religion is the same.
Yeah.
They all want the same thing, just in different ways. Like they do, like they go on different avenues for it.
Yeah. So, but it's almost like broken telephone, right?
Yeah.
It's like someone started it, and then by the time it got to like the other side of the world, they just became something else.
Yeah. Which I find hilarious, because it's just like, if everybody wants the same thing and everybody's religion is the same, yet religion is the thing that separates everybody, I don't understand the point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, we all want the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like when people are getting, you know, mad at each other for, you know, I know somebody that like, when the whole like Black Lives Matter movement was going on, they were kind of getting mad at everybody that wasn't frontline. Even if like
rioting?
Yeah. Okay. Like even if you were, like I did like a big fundraiser for that, and we raised like $5,000 for it, and this person still was like, yeah, but you didn't do anything because you're not frontline.
That's so stupid.
And I'm like, but you know, if everybody's frontline, then nobody's actually, you know, contributing. Like, yes, everybody's making noise and making it a thing, but there's other avenues that have to be like contributed to as well.
I feel like there's no point in rioting, because like, yeah, you're gonna make it on the media. If you're able to actually make a change, then it would be something like what you did, like a fundraiser, and like you're actually contributing to the cause, and not just like Instagramming for the cause. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's like a big thing, is like that was going around, that everybody's like, oh, everybody's just posting on Instagram, but nobody's actually doing anything about it. And it's true, because like people think like, oh, a post is me supporting, which like it totally is, because it shows that like you care about something, and like the more that people share it, the more that it'll get around, and it'll be, you know, people will be aware of it. But then like at the same time, it doesn't directly
impact.
Yeah. So it's kind of how I feel about like all the people that are screaming and rioting, because, you know, everybody just, they want to make a lot of noise. And the thing that I've learned about millennials and like Gen Z especially is like everybody wants to help so badly, but nobody does enough research to actually like for their words to actually like merit anything.
Yeah.
And so
they're the type of people that would just read like the title of an article.
There was so much of that going on. And the unfortunate part, like I think it's amazing that like these generations, like our generation and the next, like we want to help so badly. But at the same time, like they have to realize that they're also drowning out the people that actually have the understanding and the knowledge of the things that they want to say, because they're making so much noise. Yeah. And at the same time, you know, you can be on the same side as somebody. Like at Berkeley, there was like this whole thing that went around about Steve's music shop. For some reason, like it got shared that like Steve's got broken into. Like, and you know, the music shop.
Yeah, but his specifically?
Yeah, like the one downtown.
Yeah, but didn't it actually get broken into?
It did.
Yeah. So what do you mean the news was going around?
Well, so that was going around in Berkeley, that like people were sharing it, and then there were so many people that were saying like, yeah, this is amazing, and like people are stealing all this music equipment, and then they were saying like, oh, everybody's speaking French, this must be in Paris. And so like I just wrote on it, I was like, actually this is in Montreal, and you know, like, yes, I understand for the, you know, you're trying to make a point, but at the same time, this is like a single business that like, you know, they have two stores. Really, yeah. No, they have two stores, and the only stores are in Montreal. Yeah. So
and it didn't happen overnight, right?
It took years and years and years. And I actually, before Steve died, like I knew Steve. Like Steve was a family friend of ours. And so it was just like very sad to see. And so somebody was saying like, somebody got upset and was saying like, oh, the fact that like you're not okay with people like ruining businesses and whatever, like that means like you're against us and like blah 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 blah. And I'm like, no, I'm just like saying that.
Did you get into like a argument online? Did you keep
I
going
didn't
back and
like he was like trying to come back, but I was like, honestly, I don't have the time. Like I don't have the patience, I don't have the care. Like it's just people that I feel like are being ignorant, and I never get involved on anything on social media. Like in these type of situations, it's always a lose-lose. And even when you're like, I was saying to him, I was like, you know, we're on the same side. Just like you're okay with stealing and I'm not. Like that was basically what it was. You know, it's not like they broke into Walmart, or like Walmart is everywhere in the world, or something like that. It was like, you know, people care so much about small businesses, but then like when they get broken into, like they don't actually care.
Yeah, so. And as a musician, I would rather like earn my next guitar or my next, like, you know, and it means way more to like your craft versus just getting things for free.
My dad told me a story when he was in the 80s. He saved up all of his money for like 2 years just to buy this drum kit that he wanted, and when he still has it. Like I'll go into the basement and he's polishing it, and he's like doing all this shit, and I'm like, this is really amazing, because he worked so hard at that time, you know, when things like you didn't make as much money as you make now, and like things are expensive still anyways.
Yeah, imagine having the patience, like saving up for a week for like a hockey stick or something.
Yeah, well, my dad told me he would save up for 2 weeks allowance just to buy one record. Like I was like, I can buy one record in like a half an hour of me working. Yeah.
Yeah, we have like no patience now.
Yeah, well, everything's instant gratification. That's kind of like, I feel like a lot of people are struggling with that too. Like I'm even somebody that struggles with that, is like you want something so bad, and it's like, okay, I just want it now. Like and you get discouraged like when it doesn't happen now, and like you see people just like flying by you. But it
feels like that, at least with social media, right?
Yeah.
So where do you find that balance between like, because you need social media for your career as well,
Oh my God.
Where do you find that balance?
I fucking hate social media.
Yeah.
I hate it with like a burning passion, like through my body.
But you need it, right?
Yeah, you need it a lot. I love it. It's I think I'm gonna come over and sample that shit.
This could be the intro to your next song.
Yeah. You know, we did that once in school where we had to do a project where we weren't allowed to use any instruments and we just had to use like objects. So I sampled, when I was living in Boston, there was a bus that like braked really hard and I sampled the brakes.
How did you time that? You just ran up to the bus?
I did. I was like right next to the bus anyways. And I was like, I had my phone out anyways because I was like thinking of things like when you're doing a project like that, any sound you just want to sample just so that you can ready. Like, just so that you can know, you know, like I was going out for that specific reason of like sampling things. I wasn't just like walking out and being like, But the social media thing is hard because everybody's on social media now. And it's a very weird thing. I really dislike that they changed their algorithm. Like, because I think that people that like your posts, like people are more likely to like your posts than they are to like save them or, you know, share them, even though that's like unfortunate. But it's because a lot of people, you know, they don't want to be the direct like person in the spotlight in the sense of, I know like I haven't posted on Instagram in a while and I have that thought in my head of like, oh, it's kind of nice, like, you know, I'm just, when I'm on Instagram, I'm just like looking for what I'm looking for and I don't have to, you know, worry about my post type of thing, even though I know that I now have to. Yeah.
Did you have like a structure for it before?
I have no structure for anything, including my life. Like I have no
typical
structure.
Artist.
It's like totally chaotic. It's the worst and the best at the same time, but your lows are really low. That's the only like unfortunate thing about it.
But are your highs really high?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like your highs are never as high as your lows are low.
Why?
That's like because it's so hard to do anything of like, that's like gonna matter. So even like if you get your song on the radio, that's amazing, but you also have to realize that most people aren't gonna hear your song from the radio. The thing about this, like the music industry, is like you want to be doing everything at the same time. Like you that's honestly probably the thing that kills most musicians, is like you have to be doing everything at the same time, and the minute you stop, even if it's for like a day or something, it's like you feel bad about it. You're like, oh, I didn't do anything today. Like you get anxiety of like, oh, everybody's gonna pass you, or like everybody. And I'm somebody that really believes that there shouldn't be any competition in the music industry, because there's so many people on this planet and there's so many people that like different things. And I really believe that there's a market for everybody. Yeah. But I
believe that too.
Yeah, but the industry is so toxic at the same time. It's like you have all these fake people that are like, yes, yes. And then when you get there, it's like, oh, but I'm not actually happy for you because like you did this and I didn't, type of thing. And, you know, I think like I started streaming on Twitch now, and the community is just like amazing. And the music community specifically is like an absolutely amazing place to be. Like everybody's so supportive. There's no competition with anybody. It's just like everybody comes and hangs out because they genuinely care about music. They care about the craft. They care about hanging out. And that's such a beautiful thing. Like that's something that
that's what's sick about Twitch. You find your own crowd like that. Yeah.
And it's hard because, you know, it's such a saturated platform, although every social media platform is now like super saturated. But you really find the people that care so much about you and like want to be there and want your success, and it's like a really positive environment to be in, which, I only started doing Twitch because I had a bet with my brother.
Okay, I was gonna ask why you started doing Twitch.
Yeah, it was a bet with my brother because I had started losing like love for music because I started just doing it as work every day. And I stopped singing. Like when I was a kid, I used to go into my room and I used to sing for hours, like to the point where my mom would come into my room and be like, you gotta go to sleep. Like it's been 6 hours, you need to go to sleep.
So you're just singing to yourself? Or?
Yeah, okay. And school was always really challenging for me. I have a learning disability, which is dyslexia. I think like that already, but
yeah, I could tell. It's so obvious. No, no, I actually didn't know that. I feel like you probably told me though.
Yeah. And so it made like learning really difficult. I got held back in a couple grades. I redid every single year of high school. And especially if you're talking about elementary school, kids are fucking mean.
Savages. Yeah.
Like so mean. I would be so afraid to like read in class because when I was in grade 10, my reading level was at, I think it was like grade 5. And so
I feel like mine was like that too.
Yeah. But like people are so mean.
Yeah.
And
just sweating and you're like,
yeah, and like you're trying to read, like you're trying to like figure out who's gonna be reading before you, just so you know like
you're trying to memorize the lines.
Yeah. And so I had like a lot of pain from like, being in school and being in that environment specifically. And I would just come home and that was the only thing that I would turn to was like, I would go into my room, I would shut the door and I would sing and I would cry for hours.
And that would be your outlet?
Yeah. And it like got to a point where my mom was like, do you want to take singing lessons? Like you're doing this all the time. That would be sick. Like that would be really sick. I got like, I was so in love with it at that point. And then when it started becoming like, okay, what do I have to do for my career now? Like, what are all the things that I have to do that I don't want to do? Because
when it became work, basically.
Yeah. Like I'm super passionate about singing and writing and performing. Like those are the things. But when it comes to everything else, like you have to do them. And it's taxing because you don't want to do them and you're not necessarily good at them. And so
I think if you don't want to do them, like why not, because you could also use social media as like a platform to like put out quality versus quantity and just do it the way you want. And like the Twitch thing you're having fun with clearly, right? Yeah. And you're gonna gain an audience through there, but are you on YouTube?
Yeah, so I haven't posted on YouTube in a while. I was like a YouTuber at one point. But I want to start doing it again. Okay.
Were you vlogging or like?
I was doing covers, like so. I started YouTube when I was a kid, and I gained like a lot of success from that. And then, but I realized that why I didn't like doing YouTube was because I was singing everybody's songs that like they wanted me to sing, and it was never songs that I wanted to sing. My mom and we would argue because like she wouldn't like what I was wearing, but like I wanted to wear it, but then like I would feel like I'd have to change, and like it was like this whole type of thing that kind of made me feel that it wasn't for me. And my mom's like the most supportive person like ever, but it was more about the music in that sense. It was like I wasn't singing the music that I wanted to sing. I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. And so I was kind of talking with my brothers like recently, and they were saying like, why don't you take songs that you love, that you want to do, and change them into your style? And instead of, like pick 5 songs that you want to do and post them, once a week, twice a week.
But you would change the way you, like, it would actually sound?
Yeah, like it would be, so I feel like now the thing that sets people apart is like when they do something that they put time into. So like, I can take a track off of YouTube and I can sing to it, but everybody's doing that. Everybody's going to be doing that. Yeah. But actually taking a song and changing the genre of it to fit your style, your mood. Like I'm in the process of doing a collab with a friend of mine from the UK. And we're taking the song If You Seek Amy by Britney Spears.
Okay.
And we have made it into blues rock.
Sick.
And so like I'm very excited to, you know, I just have to lay down my vocals and we have to mix it and then like we're ready to go.
How did you connect with the artist in UK?
Twitch.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah, you meet like so many people and like you vibe with so many people too, and then things just start to happen. I'm like really terrible at like, you know, being the person that like pushes things, and so I'm trying to like get better at that, especially this year. I'm like I want to do a lot this year, and I'm just hoping that I can like find a way to get myself to do that.
You just got to remind yourself every day.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, just write it down on a piece of paper. Like,
yeah, what the goal is.
Yeah, it's very like simple, but it actually works. Like,
yeah.
Because you're subconsciously reminding yourself every day.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is like I've had so many like mental breakdowns where I'm like, this
during COVID specifically, or
even before, but like, you know, I found COVID, this is going to sound really bad, but I found COVID has been really good for me.
Yeah.
Because, because it allows you the time, like you're not really able to see your friends or do the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
And so it allowed me to sit down and start Twitch. That was the whole thing, is like, you know, so many artists have decided like, now we're in COVID, there's nothing to do, so I'm not going to do anything. Where I really feel like you have to take this moment to like, this is the best time to build your socials. Yeah. Anyways, you know, everybody's on social media, everybody's like doing something or wants to see something.
Yeah.
And they want to see a lot of content in a short period of time. And so I feel like now is the best time for people to be like putting things out all the time. You know, it doesn't even have to be like me putting things out every single day, but it's like if I put something out and then somebody else does and somebody else does, like these people have all this content that they get to see and everybody gets, you know, some visibility from it.
Yeah, a lot of content is starting from Montreal specifically. Like we had nothing before, and now there's like podcasts and like shows. So a lot of things are starting to come out now because, like you said, people have time all of a sudden. And also like when we had that break of like, that like uncertainty of like what's gonna happen next, it's almost like, you know, when you travel to like a new location and like you're just like traveling on your own, for example, and like you have these like rewirings in your brain because all of a sudden your like normal has changed, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like that opened up like a lot of creativity for people.
Yeah, and I think, you know, so many people wanted to do things and they just couldn't because they couldn't find the time.
Yeah.
It's like you work, now I'm working like a shit ton of hours.
Where are you working?
And on a movie set.
On the set, yeah. Sure.
And so it's like 15 hours a day. And it's like ridiculous. And like you're waking up, I think the earliest I had to wake up was 2:30 a.m. So it's like at that point, like you're not sleeping.
Yeah.
You know?
Just stay up.
Yeah. And so it's like you try and get into bed at like 8. And you're like, oh, but I can't sleep because it's 8. And it's like, by the time you do your whole day, you do your 15 hours, you come home, you're fried.
Yeah.
And I can imagine it with people that work like a 9 to 5 too, is like, they're doing the same thing every day. You know, it's draining to constantly be doing something. And I'm sure there's like a ton of people that don't even love their 9 to 5.
Yeah.
You know, it's just a source of income.
Exactly.
And I feel like that's taxing. You know, not doing something that you love is
depressing.
It's depressing. It really is.
Yeah, and that job takes away all your creativity because you're spending most of your like brain energy on that job, and then when you come home, like most case scenarios, like you have a family to support, and like so that job is that one thing that's like holding everything together. You know?
Yeah, and that's like your main target is like supporting that family.
Yeah.
If reincarnation is not a thing, like if we never come back, and we in fact only do have one life, then I would rather spend, you know, like let's say if we're lucky, we live till 90 or 100, you know. I would rather live that life doing something that I absolutely love every day of my life than doing something to make money, because, you know, it's like cliche, but like money can't buy you happiness. Like you know, you can have all the money in the world and still be the most depressed person ever. You just have to do what you love. And that's kind of why I was like having those internal breakdowns of like, I'm losing this love because I'm working so hard to try and figure something out that like I'm not even moving forward on right now because I'm so stuck in this mindset.
The overthinking instead of just doing. So, it's true.
Yeah, it's a hard thing.
And when you like, at the end of the day, what you bring to the grave is like the memories and the experiences that you make, right? So you're only going to make more memorable memories when you're doing something you love, I feel, right? You're not going to have this like memory, at one time in my cubicle office, my coffee tasted really good.
They brought pizza on a Friday.
Free pizza. So what's your background in music? Like, how did you start getting into music? Do you have like family members in music in the industry?
So I've never been asked that question, actually. My dad was always a musician. Like, he's not a musician professionally, but he's been a drummer like his whole life, and he had a band when he was a kid and whatever, and it didn't.
How did he learn?
He taught himself.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, and so I think, you know, music was such a big thing in my family. We had in our dining room, before it was a dining room, we had like just this massive wall of like it was like bookshelves from the floor to the ceiling of CDs and cassettes and vinyls, and we had that, and we would play things off of there, and like we would play music off of there, and we would play you know, we'd have a cassette player, we'd have a record player, and I remember like every day we would sit and my parents would show me like a new song or a new album. And my parents have always been really into music, like they just love music. And so my mom showed me a lot of like Michael Jackson, Aerosmith, and like my dad showed me like Led Zeppelin and Stevie Wonder, and like we had a lot of like
genres.
Yeah, there was like everything. The best thing is, still to this day, when they come over, I have like a pretty big bedroom. My bedroom used to be an upstairs den. And so I have like a drum kit in my bedroom. I have like guitars and a bass and certain things that like we can play. I have like a PA system. Yeah. But it's more like a performance kind of thing rather than like we don't record anything. But like the most fun that we have is when they come over and we're all hanging out in my bedroom, and because me and my brothers are like the closest, they're like my best friends in the whole world. And we get in there and one of us just starts like fiddling on something, and then the other person just comes in, and then the other person comes in, and it just ends up being this whole like thing. We end up jamming for hours. That's like some of my favorite memories, is like having my brothers come, and like it still happens from time to time, a lot less now. But when it happens, it's like it brings you back to that time, and it brings you back to like, this is the reason that I love doing this. This is the reason that like it all started, you know?
Yeah, that's it. You gotta just keep in touch with that, and that's what pushes you forward. Wow, so you have 3 years to live, right?
Yeah. I'm so happy you remember that. That's so funny. So I've always said like, I want to join. People are gonna hate me for saying this. I'm like, oh my god, people are really gonna hate me.
You gotta be true to yourself.
You know, the 27 Club. You know, that's all the legends are in the 27 Club. Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, like there's so many amazing people. Amy Winehouse, Kurt Cobain, like so many amazing legends, and they're all legends. And so that was like the whole thing that you and I were, that I had said to you when When did I say that to you? It was like one of the first times we hung out, wasn't it?
Yeah. I remember you telling me this, and I'm like, what? I'm like, why? And you're like, yeah, I want to die when I'm 27. And I was like,
yeah.
That's such a random thing to say.
Yeah, I was like, I want to go out with the greats, because like, you know, if if you can go out with the greats, you're a great, you know?
And I think I told you, I was like, wait, what if you do like pass away when you're 27 and then like, but nobody ever.
Yeah, that's that. I remember that too. And I was like,
well, I guess
in my head, you know,
yeah.
I'm still with the greats. But my thought has kind of changed. Like, it has and it hasn't. I'm still a little like morbid or cynical, like when it comes to that.
I just feel that as an artist though, you're always going to be in between those two worlds of like reality and like the dream world, you know?
Yeah. And I think like I live so often in the dream world, and then when the reality hits, that's when the chaos starts. That's when like all the self-doubt comes, and that's when like, because you can daydream for hours about, you know, being on that stage and selling out Madison Square Garden and playing the Bell Center and like doing these amazing things that like you can only dream of doing. I'm very much in that back and forth, and that's like where a lot of the chaos comes from, is like realizing like, oh, but have I done things to push myself towards that goal anyways? You know, and if the answer is no, or not fully, you know, that's where the panic comes from.
Yeah, especially with a goal like that, you gotta like back engineer that and like work backwards, and there's a lot of steps before you get
that's
to that.
what I started doing actually, is like I said, I had this whole like crazy like, this is never gonna happen and I'm wasting my time. And like, I think so many artists, like, people don't realize that artists are so sensitive and like always in their head. Like, you see it with really so many people that are in the arts, like Robin Williams, who was like one of the best actors of all times, like couldn't get himself out of his head, like Whitney Houston, Amy Winehouse. There's like so many people that just were always stuck in that, like,
Jim Carrey too, like, comes out like a different person.
And it's like, you would think like these people have it all, like how do they feel that way? But being an artist yourself, it's like you totally understand, and it's always self-doubt, and it's always, is this going to be good enough? Is this going to hit? Are people even going to care that I'm putting anything out? Are people going to care enough to share it, to support it?
There's so much perfectionism that like most of the times artists don't even put their stuff out. And like that's
a big thing.
Because like I know some of my friends that produce, they always want to keep perfecting the sound, and at a certain point, like, only the guy making the song is gonna notice all that stuff, you know?
And it's like hard to get yourself out of that. So like, something that I've started doing is like, my goal is to hit 100% perfection, because that means that if I have the goal to hit 100%, that means I'm gonna fall somewhere between like 80 and 90%, like in that range, and I'm okay with that.
What's something that would have to happen for you to like say that, okay, like, I accomplished what I wanted to do and I made it, you know? Like, do you have to make it to like Madison Square Garden, or is it something before that?
I've actually thought about that a lot lately. I was just talking to a friend about it, that, you know, I have that massive goal. My biggest goal is to sell out Madison Square Garden. And like, obviously, you know, that's like less than a 1 in a million chance of doing it. But also, I keep telling myself, like, somebody has to do it. Like, somebody has to do it at some point, you know, like, so many people have done it already. You know, I kind of have this goal of like, I want to put something out by my birthday.
When's your birthday?
August.
Okay,
August 16.
Okay.
And so I'm also terrified of turning 25. Like, I can't. I keep telling people I'm 23 again. Like,
I'm turning 26, so I feel you. And when I turned 25, I was like, shit, I gotta like get my shit together within the next 5 years. And then I just started, but it's good. It's like a good change in mindset. You just really start grinding, and like you start like clearing out like your goals. And
like ironing that out. I've been trying. That's what I've been doing. Like I was saying earlier, I have this top goal. And now I've been talking with a friend who's like trying to kind of help me prioritize like the things that I want to do. And it's all to get to that goal. Like, so that's like what you were saying about like, it's good to have the goal, because then you just need to backtrack of like everything that you need to do to get to that goal. It's the easiest way to do it,
yeah. And then on the way, you could like realize that you want to make some changes and you're really changing your mind, that's fine. But like, you're already going to be, everything's already going to be set so that you can't like move too far away from your path, you know?
Yeah, and to like answer your question before, because I feel like I didn't really, is like, for me to feel rich in music is to be performing all the time.
Okay.
It's like, that's what I really see myself as, is like just always being on stage. I've always been somebody that felt like I didn't fit in. And I don't need to fit in when I'm on stage, you know? Elton John never fit in.
Yeah, and being yourself.
Yeah, like all these amazing artists like Freddie Mercury, Prince, like they never fit in. And at a time where it was so awful, like David Bowie, to be androgynous at the time that he was, like that was unheard of. And so the stage allows you, in my eyes, a place of belonging, because you don't have to fit into a box. And I think people get so stuck in like trying to fit into that box.
Yeah, and what you were saying before, to go back to that point of like putting everything into your craft, like at that point, the only thing you're dealing with is like the fear of failure.
Yeah.
And the worst case scenario is like, okay, it doesn't happen, but you're gonna feel way better that you put your energy and time into something and tried, versus like later on regretting like all the opportunities that you could have had, or like all the what ifs, you know?
I've been saying to my mom a lot lately is like, I can die happy at 27 if if I worked my ass off and I put everything that I possibly could into making this happen, and it didn't happen. But I would be kicking myself if I died and you know, I went to the grave not have like accomplished anything because I didn't try. You know, so it's about the trying, it's about giving it all your attention and all your love. And you know, there's only a small amount of people that don't like you, and then there's a portion that love you, there's a portion that's indifferent to you. Like the people that are indifferent are still people that add on to like, you know, sometimes they're gonna listen to you and sometimes they're not.
Yeah, they're open to listening to you,
I've said this so many times now, I feel like we really are our worst enemies when it comes to like being in the arts.
Yeah, it's funny how we can't, it's really hard to take our own advice.
Oh yeah.
And it's weird, right? Like I'm really good at giving advice too, and then like I always find myself not listening to myself.
Yeah. Because for you it's not the same. Like it's like, this is great for everybody, but for me it doesn't work. Like it's not work. Yeah, no.
I'm different.
I'm the exception to the rule.
Yeah. So I really appreciate you coming.
I really appreciate you having me. A huge thank you to Lowkey MTL for having me here.